No one understood why Ruth Hanna, at 91 years old, would jump into dumpsters, take the pop tab off cans, and then throw the cans away. It seemed strange to everyone. What they didn't realize was that Ruth's pop tab collection would eventually help many people. When Ruth Hanna searched through the trash and jumped into dumpsters, people were puzzled about what she was doing. She wasn't homeless, and everyone in town knew her, yet no one asked why she was doing it. They would soon find out. People didn't understand, but Ruth had a purpose. Stay tuned to learn how many tabs she collected. Ruth, at 91 years old, didn't mind people staring or judging her. She had spent much of her life alone and was used to people's curious looks. Oddly, she was even grateful for her lonely past, as it shaped her into the person who dove into dumpsters. And for a good reason. Every day, Ruth made it her mission to sift through as much garbage as possible, searching for cans with pop tabs. No one knew why she was so focused on collecting them, and Ruth didn't explain because no one asked. Even during Salt Jonah's garbage strike, Ruth kept going. People had watched her for years, confused and sometimes disgusted, but Ruth didn't care. She knew exactly why the tabs were important. Even though Ruth knew her efforts would pay off, it didn't stop people from giving her disapproving looks. Some even went as far as saying, "You're too old to be doing this." Comments like that made Ruth shake her head. Just because she was old didn't mean she had to sit around doing nothing. Eventually, Ruth moved out of her home and into a retirement house. The facility was nice, and the staff was understanding when Ruth brought along her large collection of tabs. She was grateful they allowed her collection, as it was against the rules to have so much clutter in a room. While the retirement home was comfortable, Ruth missed being able to go out. She missed her freedom. Just because she was confined to the home's grounds didn't mean she was going to give up her mission. Each day, Ruth went through all of the trash, collecting more and more tabs. At the end of each day, she would sit in her room and count the tabs she collected before adding them to the boxes, jugs, and other containers scattered throughout her room. The residents and staff at the retirement home, like the townspeople, were puzzled by Ruth's obsession with collecting pop tabs. Determined to gather 1 million tabs, Ruth finally completed her collection, and everyone gathered to celebrate. Despite their curiosity, Ruth never explained why she spent years collecting tabs. After smiling at her accomplishment, Ruth quietly asked the staff to help load the boxes into the van. Though happy to clear the clutter, they were still curious about her motive. Once the tabs were loaded, Ruth handed the driver an address, and her true mission was about to be revealed. Along with 2 staff members, the driver set off to the address, wondering what was in store. When they arrived, the driver pulled up in front of a large building. Everyone was confused as to why they were there. Everyone except Ruth. She had made an appointment and knew they were expecting her. That's when a man dressed in a suit walked out of the front door, heading straight to the van and asking if she was Ruth. The gentleman took Ruth's hand and said, "Mrs. Hanna, it's so great to finally meet you." He became emotional when he saw the sheer number of pop tabs Ruth had brought. Ruth was donating her entire collection of tabs to the nonprofit Ronald McDonald House charity. The question, though, was why? As it turned out, this wasn't the first time Ruth had taken it upon herself to help those in need. She often donated to charity and helped out wherever she could. The Ronald McDonald House, however, held a special place in her heart. The organization facilitated programs for families with children in need, especially those with illnesses. Ruth held the organization close to her heart because of her own childhood. Ruth grew up an orphan and never knew the comfort of having someone around when she was lonely, scared, or sick. Ruth wanted to ensure no child would ever feel that way, so she began collecting tabs to help the nonprofit organization. Ruth had spent most of her adult life helping children, a fact that became abundantly clear when she and the staff returned to the retirement home. There, Ruth showed the staff her various certificates and thank you letters from over the years. She had made so many donations to charities that the city even declared Ruth Hanna Day 12 separate times. But Ruth wasn't in it for the recognition. She just wanted to make sure children were as comfortable as possible. So she hid the letters in a box under her bed. Ruth wasn't one to show off. Giving back was all she wanted to do, regardless of whether people recognized her efforts or not. This still begs the question, why did she take it upon herself to collect 1 million pop tabs? What could they possibly be used for to help children? Well, the Ronald McDonald House actually collects pop tabs separately. The aluminum tabs alone aren't worth much, but when you add everything Ruth brought in, they equate to a pretty penny. The Ronald McDonald House collects the aluminum tabs and brings them to a local recycling plant. There, they exchange the tabs for money. As of 2022, the Pop Tab program has generated more than $4 million. The money goes toward facility expenses, support programs, and sponsoring other programs. The foundation isn't interested in the entire can or container, though. They just want the tab, as it's more sanitary and much easier to store in the long term. Once enough tabs are collected, the charity brings them in to be weighed and determine their value, and then the recycling plant cuts a check. The nonprofit organization is well known. When asked about the Ronald McDonald House, one of Ruth's fellow retirement home residents spoke very highly of it, saying they operate entirely on volunteers and donations. When you look at what Ronald McDonald House does, it makes you look beyond yourself to help somebody else. The resident then spoke about Ruth and her mission, saying it gives her something to do. She feels like she's contributing, and it's important for an older person to have a purpose in life, a reason. It's important as you get older to look beyond yourself. After finding out that Ruth was collecting the pop tabs for charity, the entire retirement home decided to join in on her cause. Soon, the entire home began collecting tabs. One staff member said, "I'm sort of amazed at how these tabs have taken off. It has spread into the community, and I'm just tickled that Ruth has gotten into this. It has given her something to do and made her feel useful." Some words from Ruth are coming up soon. Speaking to a Milwaukee news station, Ruth joked about her dumpster diving days and why she finds it so important to give back to the community. She said, "I know when I went to Miller Park, it's really funny. Sometimes I would almost fall down into those dumpsters." Even so, Ruth always knew there was extreme value in what she was doing. Even after giving her collection of pop tabs to the Ronald McDonald House, Ruth didn't stop. Once the boxes were handed over, she was back jumping into dumpsters, searching for more tabs whenever she could. She's a great example of how a simple act can make a big difference for children in need. In an interview, Ruth shared what it was like growing up in an orphanage without a family. This experience made her so passionate about her charity work. She said, "Christmas would come, and I would cry because I had no one to celebrate with. My birthday came and went, same thing. It's not about what you get, but what you give that matters." Although Ruth never knew the love of a family growing up, she created her own through her generous acts. Many of the people she helped wanted to meet their guardian angel. Ruth said, "The mothers are just overwhelmed. They're kind of my family now." With her strong dedication and the help of the retirement home residents, Ruth was able to collect even more pop tabs, making more frequent donations to the Ronald McDonald House. What do you think of Ruth's action? Let us know in the comments section. I hope you like her story. Please give it a thumbs up and share it with your loved ones. Also subscribe and press the bell icon to never miss the update from our channel. Thank you.